goodness! Hello, hello! From... Hi, Annie. Yeah. Hello, Ono. I am doing pretty dang swell, all things considered. It's been... How long has it been? Over a month at least. Hello, boyfie! Thank you for 42 months! And thank you, Stellar! Or that... Stellar's 42 months. Jay is 34. Oh my goodness! Woo! Did the move go well? About as well as it could have. Hello, Oshio! Hello, everybody! Yep, today I'm just gonna be chatting and rambling about, what I've been kind of up to over the past, like, month or so. Obviously with moving. Boy, where do I even start? I know I partly might need to rely on me, Jay, and Stellar's private Discord in order to kind of backtrack on the whole moving process, because I don't remember absolutely everything. It all happened so quickly. Well, I suppose I'll kind of start off with some of the basics for this new pond that I've located to. Well, it's actually not really so much of a pond, it's more like a river. I am up close to a river. And of course the house itself is certainly rustic. It's a country home. We're even further removed from our neighbors than we were before. But I think for most of us, that is probably a welcome arrangement. Not that we have anything against neighbors, but you know, it's kind of good to separate from the hustle and bustle. Definitely good for me. I got some news for you. Oh. Can't wait to hear. The return of the frog. That is correct, Dextra. Welcome in. Let's see. Yeah, I think I mentioned a while ago, before I went on hiatus, the first time we came here, like just to kind of scope the place out, I think like we literally stepped out of our vehicle and like the first thing we could hear is just a chorus of frogs all along the riverbank, and it was a beautiful thing. Ended my journey with that Flip Eclipse software and moved over to a different software. Ooh. What are you using now? It was meant to be! Yeah! It seems like, most of the Froggy neighbors have kind of, settled down recently. I know when we were properly moving in, there were a few passerbys that, would just kind of like ribbit in solidarity, um, or like ribbit greetings, kind of one at a time. I think by the time we came to check the place out, I think there might have been just some sort of huge shindig they were holding. Well, let's see. Um, I'm not exactly sure how much, or like how big our total, like, property size is. Toon Squid is on the tablet, but it's a learning process. I believe in you. I'm not exactly sure how big our like total amount of property is. Um, it's definitely bigger than the old place. Is me. Hello, Fluffy. um, yeah, it's bigger than the old place for sure. Um, and there's definitely quite a lot more remarkable features as opposed to um, kind of the previous front and backyard of rural suburbia. Hello, Soul! Ribbit, ribbit! I know, there's kind of a very decent collection of flowers that are planted um, kind of along the walk up to the porch, as well as just generally surrounding the edges of the house. And I know one of them for sure, and probably the one we have the most of is our hydrangeas, and they're very nice. Rural suburbia seems like an oxymoron, you would think. Unfortunately, can't stick around because I'm tired, but welcome back. Thank you, Ono! Have a good eep. Froggy, how's the cute little frog doing? Hello, Binky. I am doing quite swell. And thank you, Soul, for the trifecta of health. I don't currently have any water on hand, but I can explain further on that a bit later. But I am sitting good. What does Moonlit Yakuza mean? That is the VTuber group that I am a part of. Or rather the Twitch group that I'm here. It is led by one Yakuza Mom. And yeah, we're a whole little community. Didn't know you were part of a Twitch group? Yeah. I don't tend to do as many collabs with some of the other members as what might be ideal, but we're generally kind of chill about it. You're in a gang, I mean group. I could totally see you doing collections. I mean, a group of frogs is already called an army. Anyway, hydrangeas, which I know when we were first moving in, the hydrangeas were very, they kind of looked dead. The petals were brown and stuff, but I realized that probably just means they're dormant, because as time passed they started to grow more colorful again, and they start to bloom and blossom. It does a wonder for attracting bugs, too. And the bushes are actually bigger than you might expect. I also learned what happens when you act like a perfectionist for a project that took 30 plus years to make. I've never spent 30 plus years to make anything in my life, but at the same time I get it. Yeah. Whew. Trying to think. What other flowers have I spotted? I think there might have been... I'm not sure if they were either irises or lavender. I can look it up. I can compare the two. So, iris. Oh, it's definitely not an iris. Nope. Lavender. Yeah, this is... Yeah, that's more like what I've seen. Oh yes, Izzy doesn't go looking out for bugs, they come to her. Another reason she's so ruthless. Yeah, I know there's been, Dad contacts Richard Williams is who I'm talking about. Ah! I'm not familiar with him or his work. But anyway, yeah, surprisingly, there's actually not a whole lot of mosquito activity, despite living like right up next to a river. The previous owners, which I will say I shouldn't say the previous owners. I will clarify, like, we don't actually own this place. We are renting. We do have a landlord. You know, and the landlord is taken care of as well as takes care of certain facets, mostly concerning, like, certain aspects of like house maintenance, yard work, although my mom in particular doesn't really mind mowing at least some of the lawn on her own because she likes being outdoors. And then right, they sprayed down like mosquitoes, ticks, various nuisances, but nevertheless, I have gotten bitten at least a couple times. But it's mostly just like sweat bees, ants, flying ants. I think maybe last week or just a couple of weeks ago, I did notice like the hydrangeas harboring like 2 or 3 whole bumblebees, and that made me really happy. Were they tasty? The sweat bees were a little salty. But you know, they're relatively easy. I mean, they come to you. Especially when it's all hot and sticky out. I know that what was I gonna say? Yeah. I guess I'll mention, like, our garage is no longer attached to the house itself, and that's a byproduct of, like, of course, the house itself being around, I think, since, gosh, uh, it's not like ancient, but um, I think it's been around quite a while, maybe at least since like the 20s. And then it's just kind of gotten renovations a few times over the years. I know something fun that we discovered was like there's this little pantry closet um, right up in the kitchen, and on the back wall, um, on the back wall, um, some of the previous owners would mark like the dates that they first moved in, and I think the oldest one that was written down was from 1968, and like the marking is still there, surprisingly. There's also still some renovations that still need to be done. I know the carpet in my room is due to be replaced at some point in time. But yeah, it's definitely definitely a seasoned house. But we're in the 20s, so it's new. um, yeah, but let me think. The water. um, Unlike the old house, we're not like hooked up or like set up to like a larger like reservoir of like communal water. Instead, we have a well, and we extract it. We extract water with the electricities, and you know, they've done tests, and let's just say the water itself is not the best. If there's one thing it definitely is, it's rusty. There's a lot of iron in that H2O. I know for a little while we had to, we kind of had to make do until we had like a water softener installed. Is there a boil water advisory? I haven't heard of anything like that. I think the most I understood is just like we couldn't drink it. But I know there was still like a little while where like the faucets, the showers, I think there was only one sink in the entire house that could like filter out the iron-laden water, but it only did so if it was cold water. Well, there goes the pound with a hot tub. Well, again, like for a little while it meant like, you know, bathing with very iron-scented water. Oh, the pond with a hot tub. Yeah, it was like for a little while. We very much smelled like mineralized whenever we had to take a shower. I honestly didn't mind it so much. I don't know. I kind of have a higher tolerance to a lot of like naturalistic scents, and that's might just be because I am Frog. Iron Frog. Should have collected all the iron and made you a tiny froggy sword. I don't know if there's enough for that one. Okay. My lovelies wish for stream froggies. They shall have their stream froggies. Okay. And I definitely know, like, you know, the rusty contents have definitely caused a little bit of staining in a few areas, I know. One of the benefits of this house, though, is that there are 2 bathrooms. You know, one downstairs and then one upstairs, which, my new room is in the upstairs, and it's kind of funny, the layout up here. So, here I'm in my room. It's not quite as large as my old room, however, it is longer. And I know that, you know, it has a larger window. There's another room up here that is honestly more akin to like an attic. Like it's kind of wooden on the inside and kind of dark and moody. There's still a window in it, but it's smaller and it feels a little more cramped. Not to mention, there are no power outlets in that room, and we found that out too late. I mean, luckily I chose the room I'm in right now. But I know for a little while, my little brother has been staying with us, just until further notice, and initially the plan was to have him take the other room, but he's a lot like me, where he relies a lot on like electronics and spending time on computers and gaming. So no maidens are being invited over unless they want an iron coochie. Now that's an iron maiden. Yeah, anyway, you know, he likes his computer time, he likes his gaming time, and, you know, frankly, it wouldn't exactly be too much of a different arrangement if his room was close to mine. But like I said, the other room has no outlets, no power outlets to speak of, so, you know, that plan was kind of tossed into the river. Instead, we literally had to set up his desk and everything, like, just in the hallway, like, situated, like, just in front of the door, leading to the staircase that goes up to my room. You would think it's a little bit awkward, but honestly, it's not too big a deal. One peculiar thing, while I have the hallway in mind, like the downstairs hallway is, you know, it's an ordinary hallway, but the light fixtures, the light switches, they are arranged in a very peculiar way. Brother's so close to being Harry Potter, so close to being under the stairs. Nah. Unlike the old house, there's no spot under the stairs to kind of nestle in. That would be cool, though. I would like that. But anyway, the light switches in the hallway. So we have the hallway that comes from like the area that's connecting the kitchen and it's not really the living room. I guess it's just kind of like an interim room between like the front door and then the kitchen. I would say it's a mud room, but it's a bit large for a mud room. But anyway, you know, you start from that end of the hallway, from the kitchen, and it leads over to the other end, and that's where it leads into the living room, and then like there's an archway that connects to the master bedroom. You're a wizard! Oh no, wait, you're just a frog. False alarm. I am a magic frog, if that counts for anything. But yeah, the other end of the hallway, living room, master bedroom. And the thing with the lights is that there's a light switch right next to the archway that leads into the master bedroom. But when you flip on the light, it turns on the light in the like the ceiling fan lamp in the hallway, and then you just take a few paces down and there's another switch, and you flip that switch, it's like in the middle of the hallway, you flip that switch and it's the light to the master bedroom. And it is so odd. We've probably gotten used to it, though. I don't have to deal with it as much, but I know the plan already. Let me think. Like I mentioned, there's 2 bathrooms. Hallelujah. And kind of a funny thing. Sounds like some really good wiring. It's an old house. And honestly, there's a lot of features of the house that suggest like either the previous owner or one of the previous owners might have been disabled and needed a wheelchair. Because I know the downstairs bathroom, like in the little shower space, like there's a ramp that, like a ramp and like handlebars to kind of get in. I know that the downstairs bathroom is also like directly next to where we set up like the washer, the dryer for the clothes, where we put all the laundry stuff. I get the upstairs bathroom virtually all to myself, but it was kind of funny. So my toilet has a very peculiar function that is kind of that's kind of indicative of like the age of the house. So when I started first using it, I would notice that over time, whenever I like laid my hand on the back body or something, or like on the rim or anything, the toilet itself would inexplicably get really, really warm to the touch. And that made me suspect that the water that it was using was also getting heated up, and that was like the main source of the heat. Um, and it seemed like it would happen anytime like I flushed or anything. Like, I know at one point I had to deal with a clog. Um, and yeah, like I tried flushing a few times, and after that it's just got so warm, and I was really weirded out. Like, what is happening? Um, and so we weren't really sure what that was about. Um, but I know at one point when I was visiting with my grandparents, um, my grandpa mentioned that back in the day, like with houses that were kind of out further into the country, there were there were special models of toilets that were designed in such a way so that they could harbor both cold and hot water. And like there was kind of a function to like heat up either the water or its mechanisms, and the reason they did that was to prevent freezing in the winters. So, you know, that's a likely explanation for why it does that. It's still very peculiar because it's not really in vogue nowadays. um, but yeah, we've definitely learned like there's a lot of different touches of this house that just adds a lot of character. Um, Welcome to the haunted toilet. That just reminds me of um, like one of the joke SCPs, literally just a toilet ghost, and it threatens you by saying, "I will eat your butt." It speaks right out of the toilet. You mean Skibbity Toilet? No. No, this joke SCP is much older. At least by internet standards. Um... and yeah, the water. The water. Obviously I mentioned, like, the default for the water is to be laden with heavy traces of iron. But, thankfully, we have since gotten a water softener. Um, we've had that installed. However, the main thing is that, you know, the water softener requires heavy use of salt in order to, like, cleanse the water contents. Which means the water is still not drinkable. Yeah, really the only drinkable water in the entire house is from the kitchen faucet. And again, that's only if it's turned to cold, because it has the filter that none of the other faucets or other plumbing utilizes. And it would be that time I got reincarnated as a toilet for a strange frog. Yeah, I think if I understand right, the plan is probably to buy ourselves, like, maybe a couple, like, gallons of, like, water jugs. And just kind of consistently use those for drinking water. Because sadly, the fridge we have now no longer dispenses, like a distilled water, like the one at the old house. Very unfortunate. But I know, as far as the kitchen goes, there's not a whole lot to remark on. I just know, um, when we were loading a whole bunch of, like, kitchen items and appliances and stuff, and we got to the spices, I think Mom was putting them in one of the shelves, like one of the cupboards, and then she opened up another cupboard and realized, oh look, a spice rack, you know. There is a little counter, right next to the faucet, right next to the sink, that we've kind of arranged into our into our own little coffee bar, and it's really cool. Um, you know, we got a coffee maker, and then there's like a cupboard right above it where we stash a lot of the mugs um, or like the paper holder things that holds the grounds. Um, and then underneath it, we have like a little stand, and we arrange like a bunch of the different syrups that we use all along there, and it's really cool. We didn't have a coffee bar in the old house. We could have, but it would have gotten in the way of... Well, no. The coffee maker itself was kind of in its own corner. This is Issy and Family Salty Bum arc. Let me see. What else can I mention? Oh! I was talking about flowers earlier, and I neglected to mention that, next door, you know, whoever lives right next door to us, and I know I'm situated in just a way, in the right way that I can see it right out my window. But our next door neighbor, has been growing a field of sunflowers. They have since fully bloomed and are now receding. But yeah, it was really nice. A little smaller than I was expecting, but I guess I've heard like there's different varieties of sunflowers. You know, one tall, one short. I would think that these sunflowers are being grown for the seeds, but I can't be sure. Don't know a whole lot about the neighbors just yet. But yeah, like that was really neat. Unfortunately, one of the perks of my room is that the window, it only has blinds on one side. I'm not sure what happened to the blinds on the other side, but you know, it definitely didn't help to keep my room cool. I know at the time there wasn't really a curtain or anything yet. We have a curtain now, but you know, between the blinds and now this curtain, you know, now it just obscures you know, most of the view from outside the window. So if I wanted to see the sunflowers, I would have to move the curtain out of the way, which is a little trickier than it sounds, you know, because it's only a half window, or like it's only covering half the window. The like the bar that you would normally hang the curtains from, we couldn't really feasibly fit the whole thing across the whole window. So instead we had to rely on, I guess, like little like pins that were like hammered just above the rim, and that's where I'm suspending the curtain from. Which means it's very easily just yanked off. I also know one of the first plans of action that we had after moving and getting everything into our new abode was to move an air conditioner up here, because like I said, it gets really warm up here really fast. So in that respect, my room is honestly not a whole lot different than my old one. But, considering that the air conditioner is situated basically right next to my room, like the heat has been a lot more manageable, a lot more forgiving. And that was the time Izzy accidentally flashed the neighbors. What neighbors? Nah. I mean, well, let me think. No. I'm not at a good angle to really flash anyone if I wanted to. I would just be flashing the sunflowers. Oh yeah. Also, along with some of the local foliage, along with the flowers, there's also, of course, like a myriad of different trees. I think one of them has been decorated to literally grow out of like an old rubber tire, and it looks really cool. And one of the things I found out, or that we found out, was one of the bushes that is growing along like one of the sides of the house. It's not just growing flowers, it's growing raspberries. I'm not sure if they're the edible types, or like the kinds that are totally safe to eat. But I know the birds love them. Man, I'll get to the birds in a second. Oh, Lala, free fruit. But it doesn't stop there. Or is that a vegetable? Raspberries are berries, which are fruit. But, believe it or not, they are not the only fruits. In kind of a space behind... That was just a text from the pharmacy. Kind of in a yard space behind where we have the garage, there are these trees that are planted. These are a multitude of different fruit trees. There are apples, pears, and some other kind of fruit that I'm not sure what they are. Right now, I don't think they're good to pick, let alone eat. I know one thing's for sure, though. A local Mama Deer and her baby are definitely fans of the fruit trees. So they stop by every now and again, like early in the mornings. Um, oh yeah, we also had um, a number of encounters with rabbits, which makes me super happy because in my mind, what are rabbits but just fuzzy frogs? That's been really cool. And I know on one occasion, um, we actually were fortunate enough to be able to keep um, some of our chickens from the old house. We only got to keep 4, um, but um, along with like building, we had to build a new coop for them. Me and my little brother, we had to assemble a little IKEA chicken coop. um, and we situated it in a little space that's next to the garage, and it's kind of built like a lean-to. I forget what it's called, but like we situated under there so like the chickens could be kept dry and whatnot if they really needed to. But for the most part, we've been able to just let them free roam, which I think is a huge relief to them. I'm sure they really like that. You had chickens? Yeah, we had chickens. Whatever you do, don't leave your Danganronpa fanfic out. You'll attract a certain rabbit and she'll never leave. Or Vunny. I don't know enough about Danganronpa to know what you're talking about. But I will trust your judgment. But like, yeah, I know there was one occasion where like I was getting ready in the morning to head out to the library that I volunteer at, and as we were walking towards the garage, we saw the chickens free roaming, and one of the rabbits was there just kind of hanging out alongside them, kind of saying hello. It was funny. Let me think. Okay. Yeah, just trying to think of more things I could bring up. I can think of a few things, but I think first things first, since chickens are on the mind, and by extension birds. Boy howdy, are there a lot of birds around here! I downloaded an app on my phone that is used specifically for identifying various kinds of birds, both visually and identifying them based on calls. It's called Merlin ID, and let's see. Yeah, there's only a few exceptions that I've only like identified in places or like in areas outside like the house area or like the local biome. But I have identified a grand total of 53 different bird species out here. It's crazy. Most of them are smaller, like songbirds, passerines and whatnot. But yeah, allow me to go through the list of the different birds I've identified. Starting with a killdeer, which are pretty common. Song sparrow, American robin, pretty typical. Cedar waxwing, a common yellowthroat, red-winged blackbird, which are pretty common in areas like either with tall grasses or like areas specifically with tall grasses that grow alongside bodies of water. So this is basically prime real estate for them. Do they kill deer? Not that I've seen. But you know, they do seem to, if they do in fact kill deer, it was a pun, I know. I'm just playing along. I don't know what the birds near me are other than horny assets. Always making a ruckus. Sounds like them. I will say, if killdeer have ever killed deer, they are more than happy to confess their crimes based on, you know, what they sound like. But anyway, from red-winged blackbird, warbling vireos, tree swallows, chipping sparrows, blue jays, yellow warblers, American goldfinch, mourning doves. And here's a cool one, a great egret, spotted one along the river, American crow, European starling. Don't let the name fool you, they're a carryover. They were brought here from Europe. House wrens, brown-headed cowbirds, northern cardinals, northern rough-winged swallow, house sparrow, house finch, Canada goose, seeing a lot of them lately down by the river, black-capped chickadee, a gray catbird, eastern bluebird, field sparrow, brown thrasher, northern flicker, which is a kind of woodpecker, eastern kingbird, eastern phoebe, white-breasted nuthatch, a common grackle, a downy woodpecker, an eastern wood pewee, a red-bellied woodpecker, golden-winged warbler, barn swallow, rough-legged hawk, cliff swallow, yellow-bellied sapsucker, eastern towhee, that's one of my favorites, and I'll explain why in a sec, an orchard oriole, a blue-grayed gnatcatcher, wood duck, yellow-headed blackbird, a common raven, a hairy woodpecker, a Baltimore oriole, rose-breasted grosbeak, gray-blue heron, trumpeter swan, and sandhill crane, most recently. And there's 3 more that I've identified, not around here, but just in general, and that's mallard ducks, bald eagles, and then last weekend on the way to my grandparents', we had to pass by a high school that had a small little pond, and unbelievably, right next to this little pond was a pelican. We don't live near particularly big bodies of water. Did it try to eat you? No, thankfully enough. I was protected by the doors of a Jeep. Although, we did see it do that thing where, like, they open their big pouch, and then they, like, force their necks, like, through the pouch, kind of turn it inside out. We saw it do that, because it was hot that day, and they do that to help cool down, I've heard. But yeah, pelicans, you don't really... Like, it was in my hometown. Like, you don't see pelicans in my hometown. They're just... no, you don't see them anywhere. Stream Froggy, what color does Soul desire for his stream Froggy? I've got red, blue, green, yellow, gummy, and rainbow. Red. I bring forth the red. Okay. Oh, you want to join the stack? I can do that. Frog Tower, let's go! Alright. But yeah, anyway, yeah, for a little while I was really dedicated to, you know, just keeping track of all the multitudes of birds that show up around here. And I know there's a few that I just kind of decided to make them like recurring characters in our little patch of wilderness. We do have a couple of bird feeders, so you know there's reason for them to come by. I know. Let me think. There was. We did have a mated pair of cardinals that were hanging around here for a while. I was thinking they might have been nesting around here, but now I'm not so sure because I haven't seen them in a while. Although I think I remember my little brother mentioning like he's seen them every so often. So like I'm considering them the local lovebirds, but as of recently I think they have a little bit of competition. Because I realized the downy woodpeckers, there's actually two of them, and one is male, one is female. So they might be mates as well. And I know for a time, we had, you know, a bunch of grackles and a bunch of the red-winged blackbirds kind of come by and take their fill from the feeders, and they would also kind of compete with each other for the food. You know, try to chase each other out every so often. And so I kind of gave them like faction names. For the grackles, I just called them the groupies, and then the blackbirds I called the river boys. Although it seems like the groupies might have flown to a different area, because I don't really see them anymore. I don't really see the river boys much anymore either. Epic names. And I know there's this one, like the yellow-bellied sapsucker. Definitely, I'm not sure if I would call him a consistent character around these parts, but he did make a strong entrance. By that I mean, there is, up on our porch, like our backyard porch, there is a satellite dish, an old satellite dish that would hook up to a TV, and we don't use it, but it's there. And this little sapsucker decided one early morning to think, hey, you know what? This looks like a really interesting tree. I'm gonna peck it. And so, really early in the morning, just the most thunderous brrrr yeah. And I'm pretty sure, like, everybody heard that. My mom is a light sleeper. There's no way she didn't hear that. And I know at one point, like, well, no, she most certainly did hear that, because at one point when we were at my grandparents', I was pointing out, sharing, like, identifying so many birds around our place. And I was, sharing, all the different kinds and all the different sounds they make. And, I was comparing woodpeckers. Because, I noticed we have actually quite a fair few of different types, different species. But, the sapsucker in particular, when I was sharing, like, their particular drum, as it's called, their drumming sounds, when they just kind of like drill into a tree's bark, which, interesting side note, different species of woodpeckers actually have different sounding drums, like, depending on the species, and I didn't know that. But anyway, the sapsucker was by far the hardest and therefore the loudest. And so as soon as I shared the drumming on my phone, and she's like, him, him, and she's talking to my little brother, like, you remember that large drumming onto the satellite that one morning? That's the guy. Like, all accusatory. It was funny. But I also know, I mentioned the eastern towhee that I have a particular interest in, specifically because of their call. It's not really conducive to the way that they're named, but they have a very distinctive call. As you might know, like, certain mnemonics are used in order to sort of identify, like, bird songs and calls. Like, the first one that comes to my mind is, like, a chickadee, like, chickadee-dee-dee-dee, like, or like their song, it's like, hey, sweetie, hey, sweetie. It's cute. But I've since discovered the eastern towhee's particular song goes, drink your tea, drink your tea. And ever since, I've been hoping to try and lure one towards the feeder, so I could actually get, like, a closer, more definitive recording of their call, because it's so amazing. Enjoying the yapping about birds. Please continue. Yeah, I've only had little success in attracting an eastern towhee to get closer, but yeah, I love those little birds. I think they might be my favorite songbirds now, just because of that mnemonic and that sound, like, drink your tea. And then I know, like, their regular call is just drink, drink, drink. I love them so much. Drink? Let me think. I know that, I know I've realized that, I know I mentioned a trumpeter swan. I only discovered them somewhat recently. Like they kind of tend to hang out alone, kind of on the farther end of the riverbanks. I've seen them. I've seen them kind of go browsing underwater for nibblies. Um, or otherwise just kind of preening themselves, and they're really, it's just so funny to see them actually with their long thick noodle necks in action. Wasn't there a Disney movie based off that? Are you thinking of the Swan Princess? In which case that was not Disney. I'm not sure who made those movies, because I know they made a bunch, and like most of them were like direct to DVD. Don't think so. Um, hmm. I'm not sure what you're thinking of then. Um, what I remember was like it was a movie about why you should pay for things. That doesn't seem to ring any of my bells. It might be a Canadian thing. um, but yeah, anyway, like, it was just kind of neat, like, seeing this. That would suck more. um, I thought it was just really cool, like, seeing a swan kind of out in the wild. You don't really see them too much in a lot of places, at least around these parts. Um, and let me think. I think just because at one point, like, I spotted them just kind of cruising along the waters. Um, and then, like, on the other side, like the nearer side of the riverbanks, were just like, you know, a larger, like, cluster, like, flock of Canada geese. And, like, they were just staying completely out of each other's way. And so, like, that makes me wonder if, like, you know, these larger waterfowl have reputations for being very, very temperamental. And so I have to wonder if, like, there's almost, like, a bit of an understanding between, like, a goose and a swan, just not to fuck with each other. Almost like, you know, awful waterfowl solidarity. Don't mess with the cobra chickens. And their barbed tongues. Eesh. The geese will go for your Achilles tendon, whereas the swan will go for your kneecaps. And I know ever since, I think that was actually the last time I spotted the swan recently. And I've since given them the name of the Swanark. You know, the true ruler of the river. Let's see, what else? I will go for its neck. I'm not afraid to fight them. That's a lie. I'm scared. Oh yeah. There was one other bird that I think was a starling. It was this particular starling. I'm not sure if they were male or female, because they were a juvenile. And so, like juvenile starlings are still like they kind of have like the brown speckled patterns before like the true glistening dark uh, patterns come in. But starlings can mimic speech, right? I believe so. But this one particular starling um, that I saw, I think we only had like maybe 2 or 3 different starlings come by the feeders, and it was usually alongside like either the groupies or the river boys. Um, I think maybe only like once or twice I saw them like alone, like by themselves and feeding at the feeders to their absolute pleasure. And this one starling, I just noticed, it seemed like watching them when they were perched in along the feeder, I noticed that they constantly held their mouth ajar, but they weren't actually calling or singing or making any sort of sound. They just had their mouth open. And I thought that was very odd. I've never known any sorts of birds to really do that. So, in turn, it reminded me of, like, you know how like gators will bask in the sunlight, or like crocodiles will bask in the sunlight, and they just keep their mouths ajar as part of the process. It reminded me of that, and so I since gave that starling the name of Crocface. But yeah, I know activity around the feeders has kind of slowed down now. Now that it's inching closer to autumn. I know I'm kind of excited for that. I know winter is going to be interesting around these parts. For starters, I think I'm a little thankful that we got a little bit of an early notice. But, you know, given the fact that this is a house kind of deeper into the countryside, sooner or later we were going to have to deal with mice. And I think somewhere like within the first week of like staying in this house, when I was still sleeping on an inflatable mattress, I was just like watching videos on my phone one night, just chilling out, and then I see movement just out of the corner of my eye, just right where my door was, because I was leaving my door open. And, I realized, as soon as, like, I shifted my gaze to, like, take a look, it's like, oh, that's a mouse! Or it could have also been a shrew, because I'm not sure I spotted any like, long tail on it. But yeah, it was just, like, this dark, oblong, small, fuzzy shape that just kind of entered through the doorway, stopped, and then scurried right back out. And I'm like, well, I better text Mom. We got mice. And it hasn't been as much of a problem right now. It's definitely gonna get worse in the winter, though. because they want to shack up wherever it's warm and wherever there's food. And we have both. I know. Um, I have a proper mattress for a bed now, but I still need to assemble like a bed frame to kind of lift it off the ground, so that way there's no risk of like any mice coming and like chewing through the mattress. Which part of me is a little skeptical how much a bed frame would help, because I'm pretty sure mice know how to climb. And I suppose it depends on how high up the bed frame would lift the mattress. Because I know I have a quilt that I have covering the mattress, and it's a quilt, so it's fairly long. Maybe only a little bit larger than the mattress itself. I forget what size it is. I want to say a queen, but I'm not sure. So for starters, like, if the bed frame only gets like a few inches off the ground, there's a likelihood that at some point in time, I'm gonna like yank the covers off, and it's just gonna cause like some of the leftover rumples to kind of bunch up on the floor, and it would give a certain rodent easier access on top of my bed. But also, you know, a bed frame, even if it can't get on top of my bed, if I elevate the bed, that's just gonna give it a space to hunker down underneath. In which case, I'm not sure how much it actually helps. It's kind of like damned if you do, damned if you don't. And I would be even more hesitant to place any traps under my bed, because, you know, if a mouse does end up springing a trap under my bed, I'm gonna smell it, and it's not gonna be pleasant. I know Mom mentioned that, you know, she wants to look into getting some of those traps where, like, it's sort of like a closed-off container. It works similarly to, like, a spring-loaded mouse trap, you know, that, like, snaps shut on their necks or bodies and stuff, kills them. But, you know, it's like a closed-off container, and it has a special, like, lever so that, like, you can carry it outside, you can switch the lever, and then just throw it out into the weeds, and the mouse's body will just be flung out into the weeds. Yeah, I guess we'll have to we'll have to see how that shakes out when the time comes. I know, you know, aside from my one sighting of a mouse in my room, I know my mom also had a little encounter of her own, not directly, but you know, the downstairs bathroom is, you know, mostly for her use. You know, she's the one with the master bedroom downstairs, and so the downstairs bathroom is naturally the closest bathroom. It's the one that has all her stuff, etc., etc. And in the sink in the bathroom, like, there's the little cupboard underneath, and she's been stashing toilet paper under there. And at some point, like one morning, she opened up the cupboards to replace a toilet roll or toilet paper roll, and yeah, a whole bunch of it was just kind of torn to shreds. No doubt a mouse got in there interested in the building material. She suspects that it might have gotten into the cupboard from like the back wall that it's like situated up against, because it's not actually a true wall. It's just like a very tight opening that I think in some manner or another connects to the downstairs cellar. Which, by the way, we have a downstairs cellar. And it's so... it's so funny. So, both my mom and my brother do not like the cellar. They don't like going down there. They think it's creepy. It's a creepy cellar. So much so that, obviously it's creepiest in the nighttime when the whole house is dark, and even with a nightlight in the laundry room, bathroom, it doesn't help. It's just like this opening, this eerie, dark opening, and ooh, ooky spooky. And so they hung a curtain over it. They hung a curtain over the opening just for the ease of mind. And I went down there for the first time a few days ago because there was like a power broker down there, and we were suffering through a power outage, and we had to go without power for like 5 hours. And so, well, actually, like, there were a couple of like power breaker boxes things. I'm not an electrician. I don't know the terms, the terminologies. But nevertheless, it was kind of importance to check if these boxes were either off or on during the course of the power outage. And so, one of the box things was down in the cellar, and literally, like, my brother was hesitant to go check down by himself. For one thing, it is an old cellar, and so it's really, really dusty and dirty. I'm honestly pretty sure that the floor is just straight up dirt. I don't actually think like it's smoothed over with like, not concrete, but I don't know, like, it wasn't smoothed over. It doesn't have a proper flooring, is my point. And so, like, yeah, my little brother was hesitant to go down there alone, and my mom was was constantly, semi-jokingly, whining, crying about not liking being down there, and so, like, neither one of them could stay for too long. Ah! Pills time. And so, at some point, because at the time I was just kind of sitting around, not really having anything to do while the power was out. And so I decided, you know what, I'm gonna go check it out. I'm gonna go I'm gonna go take a peek down the cellar. For starters, it's very hard for someone of my height to get down there. The stairway is quite cramped. Um, and so, that was a bit annoying, but, once I made it down there, I kind of, like, waved my phone light, the flashlight on my phone around, and it's like, this is what they're scared of? Like, yeah, it's dark, yeah, it's dirty, it's a cellar. Like, I don't know what they were expecting. And so, like, in my head, I just have to laugh anytime either of them, like, gets all, like, worried about going down into the cellar. And I was like, you two are such babies. Granted, that is probably a prime spot to where a mouse would hang out, or mice, plural. So, that might be, that would probably be enough to, like, give me a jolt, if I saw them scurrying around. But, like, I'm not perturbed at all by this dusty, dirty, dark cellar. Which is kind of reflective of just my attitude towards kind of like scary things in general. Like, I'm so desensitized to a lot of this stuff. And not to mention, like, I don't believe in ghosts or anything. Which it would seem that my mom does. I don't know about my brother, but, like, I don't believe ghosts exist. It would be cool if they did. It would definitely add even more character to the place, but I don't think there's any, like evil, ephemeral forces or presences in this place. Like, literally, in one of the days, like one of the earlier days when we were still hauling stuff into the house, like, the little conversation came up, like, Mom literally just asking me, like, hey, do you feel okay with this house? Like, do you feel safe? And I'm like, yeah, why wouldn't I? Silly family. Okay. Meds taken. Man, what else about the move can I bring up? What else can I talk about? I mean, I guess if there's anything y'all are curious about the new place, feel free to ask any questions. Do not ask for my address. I guess I can say, like, I can say, like, the river that we're right up next to, like, further down, is literally, like, some kind of, like, campground area thing over there, and so, quite a few times I've seen people like kayaking and canoeing down the river, which I actually saw a couple of people canoeing earlier today, which kind of surprised me because usually it happens on the weekend. We also have a little boat of our own. It's just kind of laying up next to the garage. I know my mom and brother used it at one point, and they didn't have the foresight to recognize, like, there was a likely possibility, like, the river current would be just strong enough that, kind of paddling up the river was not going to be feasible as a method of returning home. So she had to call one of her friends to come pick them up somewhere like further down the river, like well past the house. So that's a lesson she had to learn. Like, remember to like think ahead, and have a vehicle at the ready once the journey comes to an end. I know that we also have like little clusters of like trees and like wooded and bushy like areas, like brush and stuff. I know one of the clusters is like right up next to my side of the house. And I know when I went to do like a proper look around, like a proper exploration, evaluation of our property, I noticed that there were like a couple of sheds, kind of like just these sheds in this particular cluster of wood area. I think Mom had a particular name for them, but I can't remember what it is. And I'm like, I didn't realize these were here. From my window, the brush is literally so thick that you literally can't see it. You can't make out even its shape, its outline. And so when I discovered it, I'm like, ooh, what was this here for? What's inside? I didn't look inside, but maybe one day. If the curiosity eats at my spirit thoroughly enough, I'll go and take a peek. And I think there were even like two of them. Although maybe the second one was in a different spot of brush, a different cluster, a different wood. I know we had to install a brand new dishwasher into our kitchen very early on, but it would seem that our landlord was generous enough to basically install it for free, and it definitely takes the load off of washing dishes and stuff. It's a more modern model, although unlike most dishwashers, one of its quirks, like one of the caveats that I'm not entirely sure the mechanics behind it, but when um but when like we load it up with dishes and then like we run the washing cycle and stuff, we have to be sure not to leave the dishwasher closed for too long, because like when it's left closed, the humidity like sticks within it, obviously, and then that just kind of invites uh it invites mold. It gets moldy if we leave the dishwasher closed after a rinse. I'm not sure why, but that's a thing. Hello, Octavius! Welcome, welcome. Long time no see. I was just blabbering on all stream about the new place that I moved into. Long time no see. Yeah, the river, the flowers, the raspberry bushes, the fruit trees, the bunnies, the deer, the birds, emboldened birds. Regarding the new dishwasher, the mold thing is normal. Ah. Creepy cellar, mouse problem, rusty water. What else is there to talk about? Well, you know, I guess technically I never explained, like, kind of the odd layout of the upstairs space. So, when we head upstairs, like at the top of the staircase, directly connected to it is the bathroom, the upstairs bathroom. There's also like a little like outcropping right at the top of the stairs that we had to install a banister so that, you know, there's no risk of falling open or falling down and cracking our skull open. Or rather, cracking my skull open. But then, right after the bathroom, there's this room, which it's really peculiar. We're not really sure what to refer to the room as, because it's built like a room, but it functions essentially like a hallway. Like, we put a bunch of stuff in it, you know, it's where the air conditioner is, and everything, but like, it's not a proper hallway. It's not built like one, but it's not quite a room either. It's just kind of like an intermediate space between the staircase and my room, as well as the attic-looking room with no outlets. I also have to wonder, in regards to the mouse, if it's either that room or the closet space that it's more likely to hunker down in. Like, I'm just thinking, one, if it was only one mouse that is in the house, and if it's the same mouse, or like the mouse that I saw kind of scurry in and then scurry out of my room that one night is the same mouse that tore apart the toilet paper in the downstairs bathroom. um, or if there's multiple, there's no way to tell for the time being. And again, it seems like mouse activity has kind of stopped for the time being. And that's probably a result of the fact that it's still warm out. The mice are still gonna kind of scurry about and wander and forage outside. But again, it'll definitely be a bigger problem in the winter. I have to go to sleep, love. Hope you enjoy the rest of the stream. Get good sleeps. Night night, Jay. Night night, boyfie. Mwah mwah. Sweetest dreamies. I'm probably gonna wrap up pretty soon myself, because it seems like I've talked about just about all that I can. Assemble the chicken coop. I know we were a little worried about, letting the chickens free roam. Right now, like back at the old house, we had like between 8 and 12 chickens, and now we only have 4. And so, like, we were a bit nervous about, letting them free roam and stuff. It makes them, prime game for a variety of different predators, raccoons, foxes, hawks. I know at one of the days that me and my little brother were assembling the coop, we literally saw a hawk kind of fly over close by, and like we were literally too nervous to keep the chickens out and wandering about while there was a hawk kind of soaring around. So we literally kept them in the garage, and as a result, to this day, there's still remnants of chicken poop within the garage. Hopefully at some point we clean that out. So far there have been no incidents, though. And I know in regards to the hawk, at the time, I sort of rationalized that there wasn't as much to worry about regarding hawks or like other birds of prey, mainly because, as I've already explained, we have a lot of birds around here, and there are at least 3 different species of sparrows. And we also have robins. And the both of them, I think, alone, if they're willing to like kind of stick around this area for a little while, I think that'll help keep the hawks out, because they're definitely birds that are not afraid to square down when it matters. Yeah, but overall, I am really enjoying this new place. It definitely has a lot of character. think... Yeah. Sounds like a fun thing to do, definitely. Moving out is always quite the adventure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Definitely a lot of heavy work. Oh. Sounds like my mom might be coming into the driveway. She was away for the weekend, and that left me to babysit one of the dogs for the weekend. She's been really good. She's a corgi, and her name is Matilda, and she's a spoiled little princess. We're not really sure why, but she tends to be very wary of new people. Like, it almost seems like she experienced something that just made her kind of like distrustful of strangers. You know, and so she'll bark her full head off anytime somebody new rolls around. But otherwise, you know, for me, for the family, the people she knows, one of the first things that she will do when you're up next to her and, you know, you're signaling that you're willing to give her attention, she rolls over and expects you to rub her belly. Which, it never fails. I will always oblige the belly rubs. And I always like the fact that she frequently starts yawning as soon as I start. And then, depending on what spot I rub her in, she'll like lift one of her front paws and so do like a little Superman pose. It's very cute. We also have another corgi named Fitz, short for Fitzsimmons. He's definitely a lot more friendly. He's also younger, so he's a lot more energetic. Anytime he wants your attention, he'll do like little playful growls at you. Like, they're not really growls. The only better way I could describe them is they are his roo-roos. Like, roar, roar. And yeah, he really likes attention too. Both him and Matilda really love attention. And then I know we've been keeping watch over one of our other dogs, Augie, who is a Sheltie. He's getting a bit older, and so he's not quite as spry as he used to be. But we actually got him as a rescue dog back when he was still a pup. He's a bit of a peculiar... He has a peculiar personality. Unfortunately, like both... It's mainly Fitz, but sometimes Matilda will do it too. They kind of pick on him. They pick on poor little Augie. Otherwise, like, you know, since Augie is a Sheltie, you know, one thing Shelties are known for is that they are alarm barkers. And Augie in particular has particularly keen hearing compared to the average dog, just because of the circumstances in which, he was raised, that he was born and raised. Mainly the situation he had to be rescued from. Um, but yeah, he has sharper hearing, and so, um, he's usually the first one to bark at seemingly nothing, um, and it's always really loud. But other than that, he is the sweetest little Augie dogger. I know, back in the old house, anytime, like, I would be out in the living room and, like, sitting on the couch, Augie would sometimes, hop up onto the couch, and, one of the things he would always like to do is, most dogs usually, when they have a chance to, lick any, to, like, give kisses to any, facet of your face, it's usually the face itself. Not Augie so much. At least not with me. Usually his first target was my ears. I reckon that he would smell, like, the traces of, whatever earwax was in my ear, and he would try to lick a bunch of it out. Most people would be, squigged out by that, but honestly, I didn't really care too much. My dog loves giving the tip of my nose licks. That's always good. I know, Fitz tends to do the same. Um, Usually I have to, like, do, like, little puffs or, like, blow on his nose a little bit. Um, because typically he likes the way, like, my breath smells, especially after, like, he's a big fan of coffee breath. My brother's dog goes straight to chew on my goatee for some reason. That's funny. I know, we used to have, um, like a terrier mix, and I forget what his name was, but, he was a big fan of licking my feet. Yeah, in case it wasn't obvious, I come from a household that is always occupying a minimum of 2 dogs. And at that point, the minimum might be the maximum now that we're out into this new place. Like, part of the arrangement was that, like, we would have both of the corgis here, but Augie will be, he'll be living with my little brother's dad. And, like, both Augie and my little brother have been staying here just until, like, his dad, like, found a new place to settle into. That was the plan, anyway. And it seems like, my little brother is, like, spending more and more time over there, maybe to try and get used to it. It's kind of funny, though, that the very, like, at the time when we situated my little brother's desk in the hallway with his computer and everything, it was very shortly after that his dad actually found a place. And so, like, we set up all that stuff, you know, with the expectation that at some point it was going to be moved out, you know, carried out to wherever the new place was. And so, like, the minute it's fully set up in the hallway, ring ring, hey, I found a place. Still no idea when he's fully going to like be moving his stuff over there though. But yeah, the plan was it was just gonna be me and my mom here. Yeah, and so far we're definitely enjoying ourselves. It's definitely a nice change of pace. Considering the fact that we lived in the past house for just about 20 years, I want to guess. I think we first moved in when I was 9, so that would have been around 2004. Yeah, like, very close to 20 years. I think we might have been like a few months short. But it's a great place. I love the river, I love the flowers, I love seeing and hearing the birds. Oh yeah, my mom at one point, I think like within the past week, she was taking the dogs out into the backyard, and she saw like a blue heron kind of flying kind of over around like the air, like just above the river line. And it seemed like it was flying towards a spot where apparently one of its buddies was also situated, and she heard them like calling for the first time, and like she had no idea what they sounded like. I had somewhat of a clue just because of my app, you know, like there's a whole record of the different calls that various kinds of birds will make. When it comes to like herons and egrets and all the likes of like, you know, the long noodle-necked birds, they sound pretty much like dinosaurs. They make the rumbly like chattery kind of sounds. Like, let me see if I can quickly pull up the calls on my phone, just to give y'all an idea. Wait, no, that's not right. Yeah, great blue heron. I wonder if it's this one. That's what a blue heron sounds like. And then just for comparison's sake, just for funsies, a great egret. Dinosaurs, man. They never left. Although I know the Catswari is by far the worst offender. Like, they literally just roar. And I think their calls tend to range somewhere as low as like 30 decibels, which I think is like just outside like people's like human hearing. It's definitely outside Froggy's hearing. Um, but yeah, like it's kind of similar to elephants. Like the frequency is just so low and such a rumble. Like it's so primal. I usually get your usual chirp chirp birds around here, but after visiting Australia for a while, I have to admit I do miss the magpies in the mornings. Aww. I'm not sure if we have magpies around here. If we do get magpies, it's very infrequently. There's usually so much more crows. Like, even ravens are a little less common. It's just crows. Not that I'm complaining. I love crows. Just as a side tangent, I know I saw a video a long time ago, and it was about a bunch of, like, ornithologists, or at least bird watchers, and they watched, like, a myriad of different, like, fantasy or sci-fi movies. You know, different movies that, like, feature, like, fantastical or alien creatures and animals and stuff. And one of their pet peeves was the fact that a very frequently used sound effect for, you know, a fantastical or like alien environment is the use of a loon call. Like, you hear loon calls just all the time. And I'd be lying if I said I didn't know what they mean. And so, like, you know, part of me just thinks, like, if I ever, like, make some sort of, like, short movie or animation or something, possibly, potentially, maybe, no promises. It's like, if I ever make something that requires the use of, like, animal calls, like, there's a whole plethora of different birds to use from. Like, you just heard the heron and the great egret. They literally sound like dinosaurs. Like, don't need to jump through too many heaps. Or hoops, rather. Oh, that's kind of funny. Yeah. And it's like, I get it. Loons sound very unique, very haunting. You know, it's very pretty, very distinct, but it's overused. Yeah, part of me is honestly just willing or curious to, like, just to build, like, my own unique, like, creature sounds, like, just for the sake of it, just to see what I cook up. I'm not great at sound design. I'm not very experienced, but I think it would be interesting. Considering the fact that I, myself, happen to be, not to toot my own horn, but I'm actually fairly skilled at mimicking a variety of creatures myself. Anyways, I see my time has come. It was nice seeing you around. Take care. Night-night, Octavius. Hope to see you around some other day, night. now that I can finally get back to streaming. I was about to say screaming. um, I mean, I would scream a little bit to make animal sounds. Depends on the animal. That just reminds me, Annie, of the fact that back a couple of weeks ago when we watched Shin Godzilla, and Fluffy was like trying to egg both myself and Dizzy to to making our best impression of the Godzilla roar, and I'm the only one who bothered to do it. I had to do it later, though. I had to record myself doing it because I needed to prep first. Thankfully, at the time, I was alone in the house. I literally shared it. Like, I made 2 impressions that had, like, 2 different feels to them. Like, I know it's the second one where I was basically screaming. Like, doing my best to actually sound like a roar. Like, I think I posted it in the auditorium. You might have to scroll up a bit in your Discord. And as for the rest of my Lily Pals, it'll have to remain a mystery because I don't dare share it unless I'm feeling particularly masochistic. You had a good roar. I'm glad. I'm glad of that, at least. Bleh. Yeah, that was a little side tangent that I was just reminded of. Yeah, I'm kind of running short of further things to mention. I'm trying to think back of like the moving process itself, but I'm not sure anything particularly noteworthy happened, other than, you know, lifting heavy shit. Trying to lift certain furnitures up the stairs into my room, or into the intermediate room. I know one of the things we lifted up was this cabinet that that held on to a whole bunch of VHS tapes. It wasn't the only place that I stashed VHS tapes because I had a lot of tapes. But honestly, my brain's been static today. That's fair. It is a Monday. But I know, in regards to my VHS tapes, I know that something I've really been wanting to do is getting my hands on, one, a new VHS player, and then specifically, more importantly, a VHS converter. So that way I can go through my old tapes and archive all of the stuff I've recorded over the years and properly put them on my computer, and then I'll probably think of like setting up something for like cloud storage or something, just to stash all that old stuff, because as any VHS tape owner would know nowadays, those tapes don't keep if they're allowed to just sit. They deteriorate. Huff and pants and huff. Did I make it in time? Am I late? Hello, RNG. You are late, but don't worry. um, don't worry. There's a whole VOD that will be uploaded of this stream, like always. Because I always try to keep on top of that. No, but also welcome backies. Thank you. But yeah, like I'm definitely an enthusiast for media archival. Um, and I've since learned as of last week that my library, the one I volunteer at, actually has a VHS converter. So there's that. But I don't know if they have a VHS player to rent or to check out. Internet Archive has quickly become one of my favorite websites. Yeah! But I know, at the very least, sort of as a warm-up for that process, I know I have a few DVDs that my dad gave me. And they're pretty much all entirely just like little old home videos, particularly when I was a little tadpole, probably no older than 2. Well, there was one, I think I might have been like 7. Yeah. It was neat to kind of go down memory lane, although one of the discs, it's really funny. One of the discs, just for an inexplicable reason, I can only imagine being because the original tape, because my dad has done a bunch of VHS conversion himself, converted a lot of videos into like his own memory storage unit. But for these ones in particular, he burned them onto a few DVDs. And so one of the DVDs, or rather one of the VHS tapes that was being burned onto the DVD, there was a little snippet of my 7-year-old self reading a little children's book about silly little dinosaurs. And like each page was counting from 10, and like I was reading it in a very rhythmic fashion because I have a natural sense of rhythm, I guess. And then just after that point, the rest of the DVD, or the rest of the tape that could fit onto the DVD space, was just a bunch of like recordings of various TV shows from CBS. And I imagine it's my grandparents that are responsible for that. There was Everybody Loves Raymond. There was this one sitcom that I've never heard of called Yes Dear. There was like a very, very brief little clip of a show that seemed similar to like Maury. It could have been Maury. I don't think it was Dr. Phil. It was like the stage didn't look right. Or if worse comes to worse, it was Dr. Oz. I know my grandpa has brought up Dr. Oz in the past. Grandparents. But it was just really funny, the fact that my dad decided Well, either he decided to keep all of it onto the DVD, or he just didn't have the time or foresight to just cut all of it out. So I just have it. I have these episodes of various TV shows. Um, and then, like, yeah, just within the past few days, I decided, to warm up for the VHS conversion. Um, I thought to take these DVDs, put them in my USB DVD player or disk drive, and I decided to rip from the DVDs onto my computer. And now I've actually stashed the contents of those DVDs onto the Internet Archive. I'm not gonna link to it though, because it's poisonal. Because it's poison all. Thank you, captions. But yeah, that was a neat little process to kind of sift through. I know one of them is not even necessarily me. It's just some of my cousins at a Christmas gathering, and I think two of them were playing. Like, there were three of them performing a couple of carols on different instruments that I think they got from school. Two of my cousins were playing a clarinet, and then the third cousin was playing a flute. And they performed a few carols way back. Sheesh. It was probably the late 90s. I think the oldest cousin at that point, I think was in high school. And then the other two cousins, I think the second oldest was maybe just starting middle school. And then, like, the youngest was not too far behind in age. So either, like, just entering middle school or, like, just at the tail end of elementary. I do love old Tannenbaum. I think... I know one of the carols was, We Wish You a Merry Christmas. Oh, and then the other one was Jingle Bell Rock. Fun. I also, from mentioning the different animal sounds that I was capable of making, the one animal sound I can't make anymore, but I could when I was little, I could do a horse neighing. I could neigh like a horse. And it came really easily to me back then, but I can't do it anymore. Like, it was really breathy, and so, I think now, just because my lungs have grown quite a bit since then, I can't quite nail it the same way. I think I would just end up making myself cough. I'm so curious, though. I want to give it a try. Nope. Nope. Not even close. I can pull off that little, that starting bit a little bit, like, with my falsetto, but I can't properly do the long action. And who doesn't love the carol of Jesus refusit omnium? What Google says is the oldest carol. P.S. Of course you can't neigh, you're a frog, not a horse. But I can mimic... I can mimic a whole bunch of animal sounds in the right circumstances. Some come easier than others. Like, I can do chicken pretty easily. I can also do a monkey. I can... obviously, I can croak like a frog. I can do like a growl of some indeterminate beast. Although I think that mainly comes easier if I have like maybe like a little bit of like a groggy throat. Like if I have a sore throat or something. I do an excellent human. Well, that's out of like that's obligate mimicry. Ravens mimic, frogs croak, anything else is magic. Well, I am magic. I can also hiss like a snake or a cat pretty well. I can also moo like a cow. I can moo. I have like a whole like audio file of me making a whole bunch of these sounds. I could probably just quickly pull it up. Let's see. Go through my media player. And of course the title of the file is Issy Goes Wild. Oh, it's a mourning dove. Chicken. Ribbit. Ribbit. I think that was my attempt at a cat. Ooh. That's a cow. Some kind of growl. Hiss. Alternative hiss. Monkey! I don't even know what I was trying to do with that last one. Can you cat roll the R's like you're a fox? A star fox? I can roll my R's. What about villager? Huh. Huh. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Huh. Master of Animal Foley work, I swear to God. I am the second coming of Frank Welker, who's not even dead yet. Oh wait, there's also this one file that's just... This is a much better growl. Like... That's it. That might have been a day where I was a little bit phlegmy. A little phlegmy, and so it let me do like a growl. A growl almost like a wolf. Frank Welker? The only voice actors I know are Wilhelm and Mark Hamill. Frank Welker is best known for doing a whole bunch of animal Foley effects. But he's also renowned as being the recurring voice actor for both Freddy and Scooby in Scooby-Doo. Like, he's been doing the both of them since the start. Particularly Freddy. Like, there's a part of me that wants to think, like, other people have done Scooby, but I don't know, it could have been Frank the whole way through. I know he also did, the sounds for both Appa and Momo in The Last Airbender. I do love classic voices. I'm a huge fan of the Bugs Bunny Looney Tunes guy, whoever they... Oh yeah, Mel Blanc. Legendary. Yeah, he was at it for a long time. And as far as I'm concerned, I don't think there was anyone who could really quite capture the essence of his Bugs Bunny, or Daffy Duck, or Porky Pig. Although, it is a bit, I've actually learned, like, there is actually a very particular technique in order to effectively capture Porky Pig's stutter. And, like, you know, it's not just, like, incidental. Like, it's not made up on the fly. It's the same every single time. Still distinctly hear that. Ah, shut up! Yep. And of course, there's always the compilation video of all the different cartoons where he's acting so hard and so loudly that the recording booth just bounces off the walls so you can hear it straight into the cartoon. That's the one, she did the thing! I want to see if I can find that video. I think I came across it on Tumblr, but it might also be on YouTube. But, like, I think it was one of Mel's proteges that has the Porky Pig stutter down to a specific technique. I don't know. I also know, in the Tom and Jerry cartoons, you know how Tom has that very iconic scream. I can't remember which one of it is, but I can't remember which guy did it, but it was either Hannah or Barbera that did the original recording of that scream. And, like, that's fucking great. I'm just cursed with doing a Porky Pig stutter and Elmer Fudd's Wabbits by accident, curse you, brain. You know, it's fun to pull sometimes. Every once in a while I catch myself doing Daffy's lisp. You're despicable. Let's go through that again. Okay. This time I'll start it. Right. Wabbit season. Duck season. Wabbit season. Wabbit season. Duck season fire! Fun intentionally, I do it by accident though. It's not frequent enough to be a full stutter. I getcha. I think honestly, I'm not sure if it's as prominent nowadays, because I think I kind of grew out of it. But when I was younger, I did actually have a little bit of a lisp. Like a little lisp. Not quite as, sprayed as, like, Daffy or Sylvester, but it's like I still kind of do it, but I can do it light enough that, like, it's, I think, like, there's a little difference between how I do it and how most people do it. Because I've since learned, like, people pronounce their S's by almost, like, sharply breathing through their teeth. Like, they don't really use their tongue. But I do. I press my tongue up against my teeth. I just do it lightly enough that you can't tell the difference. Another word that's given me trouble with is prescription, and pronouncing it as pubscription for no reason. I finally started to get it. Yeah. Let me tell you. 2010, and I was in 8th grade, so just at the tail end of middle school. I participated in my, or I guess technically the national spelling bee. And I had no idea that that's the occasion it was building up to, because I know one day, like in class, like teachers were just kind of going around like, hey, you know, we're running a few spelling bees. I wasn't a national champ. I'll get there. But like, you know, spelling, you know, and just kind of language arts in general is something I am highly proficient with. I have quite a lengthy vocabulary, and along with the vocabulary, a strong proficiency for spelling. A continental spelling bee champ. But anyway, like, it started off with just multiple classes in my school just being like, hey, we're gonna do a little spelling bee. You know, basically pick out some of our best students. And so, you know, I ended up excelling in that regard, right up until, I think, like, it built itself up to the, okay, kids, how do you spell tsunami? It built up to where now they had to hold a spelling bee thing for the district, like the school district, and I was the one that made it that far. I think there were like, it was like 2 kids per grade, so it was like, so along with me there was also another 8th grader that was alongside me. And then, you know, we did that spelling bee. I won. I won as the best district speller. I got a little certificate. And then I was set to partake in the regional spelling bee, which was like, you know, a region of my home state. And so I think it was like a week after the district bee that that like one of my teachers like, I think it was either like late morning or early afternoon. I can't remember if it was after lunch or prior. But like, my special ed teacher at the time, he actually drove me over to the school that the regional competition was being held. And I won that one. I distinctly remember my winning words were volcanism and protagonist. um, and so, like, I remember when my teacher drove me back to the middle school. Well, actually, I know volcanism protagonist. I got those both wrong when I tried it. Aw. Now that I'm actually learning Kana, Tsu of Tsunami actually isn't a silent T. I suppose not. Interesting. But, you know, when I returned and I had, like, you know, and I had the little trophy. I had a little trophy from beating the regional that I still have to this day. And it is currently resting on top of my bookshelf. And, like, the first thing that, the first thing that me and my teacher ran into was the principal being like, hey, congratulations on winning the spelling bee. You know, it would really boost the school's prestige if you'd be willing to hand over that trophy. And my teacher was like, don't do it. Don't do it. You earned that trophy. It's yours. And so that's what I did. And then by the time I went back to class, it was like a science class, so I was sitting next to somebody who was a friend. Congratulations on being the global spelling bee champion. Next up, the galaxy. You made the right choice. Yeah. So, like, my friend was kind of whispering as I sat down, like, hey, how did it go? And I kind of played it up, like, like, I just kind of shook my head. I won. Shook my head, then I'm just nonchalantly like, oh, you know, I won. And then, soon after, gotta turn in for the night, but we love you. I love you, Stellar. Why did it come out like that? But I love you. Mwah, mwah. But yeah, shortly after I was back in class, you know, there was like a little ping all across the school indicating like an announcement was being made. And so it was like, attention middle schoolers, like, you know, congratulations to Issy for being the regional spelling bee champion. So like everybody turned to me and everybody was all impressed, and I got a solid 15 minutes of fame out of that. That was probably like my most notable moment in the entirety of my being an obligatory student, or a student by necessity of law, throughout elementary all the way to senior year. That was probably the one place I stood out the most. Bing bong! Attention everyone, Issy is now the Star Quadrant, winner of the Star Cluster Spelling Bee! Fun times. Huh. I ran out of things to talk about in regards to my new home, so I just ended up rambling about some side tangents to fill in more stream time. But yeah, I think it's about that time where I consider wrapping up for the night. Um, whew. I'm glad to be back. It's so good to be back in action. And I'm glad I can be back in action too, because I know there's a few like little hiccups. Oh, I'm excited. Let's hear the Frogos wrapping up for the night. Put your hands in the air. Woo, woo. But yeah, I know I was coming across some troubling aspects of, getting hooked up and back onto the internet. I know with Discord voice calls and or video sharing stuff, my internet tends to be a lot more finicky, and that kind of discouraged me, my prospects of getting back into streaming. Because, I know at one point, like, I was in a voice call and I was the one screen sharing on Discord, and I was having a absolutely terrible time. Like staying connected, or at the very least, the bandwidth was just so overloaded that either it would have to maintain the voice call, the screen sharing, or the video that I was watching on YouTube, that I was sharing from YouTube, but it couldn't do all at once. And so I'm still a little bit hesitant about hosting anything through Discord. But, I did a test stream last week just to see if I could get back into streaming, and there was shockingly little issue. I think at most there was like a total of like 650 some dropped frames, which is like, that's nothing. Like right now, I only have a record, it says, of 134 dropped frames of this stream. Which, like, that's great. I can do all the stuff I wanted to get back to doing. I blame Obama. It's his fault the internet is so bad, just as we thanks Obama for his returning. Coffee. Yay, coffee. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to talk about. And of course, for anybody who is late in popping in, if you're ever so curious about the different character traits of my new home, look out for the VOD on my YouTube. Before we go, one important thing. Oh, you have my attention. Trifecta of health! Let's go! I'm sitting good. Stretch! And I don't have water on me, as I explained before, which I'll quickly summarize. Basically, getting drinking water in this new place is a little more precarious now because we're pulling water from a well, and this well water is very, very rusty. It is very heavy in iron contents. We have installed a softener, but it requires a lot of salt content in order to, purify the water, so it's still not safe to drink. The fridge in the kitchen no longer dispenses distilled water, because it's not a fridge that does that. The only way I can obtain drinkable water is from the kitchen faucet, which I distinctly have to turn it to cold, otherwise it doesn't filter out. Which, by the way, I have tried the water from the faucet. It definitely still has a flavor. No agua? No drinking water? Oh, I have a very similar thing, and just go to local springs for my water. Just weeks worth of water. A week, no weeks. Yeah, we're thinking of getting at least a couple, gallon jugs that we can fill up with drinking water for the time being, and just kind of use them as needed. Because otherwise, requiring well, we have to go down into the kitchen to get the water anyway. So, It's definitely more effort on my part. I have to go all the way downstairs, fetch a glass, fill it with the water that has a flavor, bring it back all the way upstairs. Not to mention, the staircase. I've realized, as it inches towards nighttime and it gets darker, there is no light near the staircase or the bathroom or anything. So I would have to be carrying the glass of water up the stairs in virtually pitch black darkness. The saving grace, though, is that there is a sensor right on the ceiling of the staircase that is motion detecting, and it turns on a light when it senses movement. But it won't sense movement until I get up to the top of the staircase. I found about 9x4 liter bottles tend to last me a week for cooking and drinking. Keep that in mind. I want to get a little lamp for nighttime then. Yeah. I know it was kind of similar for the downstairs bathroom. They had to put a nightlight in there. Unfortunately, my bathroom doesn't have any outlets, so I can't really plug in a nightlight in there. And I'm pretty sure the staircase doesn't have any spaces where I can directly plug in a light. Never mind just blinding you at night instead with sensor. It's not so bad. The thing with the staircase is that up towards the top of it, the wall? Question mark? Is built at a diagonal angle at such a height that anytime I get up to that spot at the crux of the staircase, I always have to keep my head down so I don't bonk myself. Jess, I can almost make it sing. Save it for next stream, maybe. Also, after like 2 or 3 or more years of long hair, I just realized that I like the look of high ponytails versus low ponytail. Why did it take me this long? Great. I have I have long enough hair for a low ponytail. I haven't really tried to make a high one yet. I don't think I have quite enough. And I'm not sure it's gonna be like growing to quite an adequate length anytime soon because, fun fact, your beloved Froggy has a little thing called trichotillomania. Very mild, but like I have it nonetheless. It's basically just a habit of hair pulling, just plucking hairs out of my scalp. It's kind of like an anxious slash autistic tick that I've come to develop like maybe like 2.5 years ago now. And yeah. I can help you get her. Just saying I could probably do it like 10 or more times. Probably 15 times. Trichotil sonic mania. I do something similar with beard hairs, I get it. Yeah. I also do, like facial hair pluck. Cause, again, it's kind of a tick, but also I hate having facial hair. And my electric razor, it does not perform quite as well as it used to. That's a big ass word. Trichotillomania. It definitely rolls off the tongue. Yeah, so I'm not sure if my tick, if my hair plucking will allow me to grow quite long enough hair for a high ponytail. I know it's a matter of resisting the habit, but like, ooh, it's hard. Because it's very compulsive. I just do it without thinking. Better than the word for phobia of long words, and that's why I hate doctors. Oh, yeah. Just the mention of phobia reminds me of our spooky cellar. Yeah, just bring up quickly. We have a cellar. It's very dirty and dusty, but also very dark. My mom and little brother are not fans of going down there. They think it's very creepy. I went down there and, like, I don't see what the big deal is. Because I'm desensitized like that. All you gotta do is breaking the habit. I'm breaking the habit tonight. Sounds like cellar is perfect for satanic rituals. Yeah, you're not wrong. I was thinking, like, it is a good spot to, for, like, if I ever decide to make, like, an indie, short horror movie or something. Like, that's a pretty good location to include. Also the fact that, you know, we're surrounded by wilderness, and there are 2 shacks on our property that I don't know what they're there for. They're just there. There was a small part of me that was tempted, you know, because people go canoeing and kayaking down the river next to us. There was a part of me that was honestly tempted to just completely strip down, go into the water, and just wait. Wait for somebody to pass by, and then just scare them like I was some river hag or something. Sounds like you're planning on going full-time witch. You're not entirely wrong. The shacks are where Izzy takes anyone who doesn't pay up and covers them in bugs. Well, all the bugs that I can't eat. Or that I don't like. Which... I'm not sure there's too many that I can list off the top of my head. Oh, hell yes. Or just go up to a mother and her baby and say something ominous. Yeah, I could start, like, being fully submerged, or, like, partly submerged. My hair is long enough, because I have curly hair, and so when I go in the water, it straightens out and it looks longer. My hair is long enough so that, you know, it can obscure my face. Or else, like, if I'm mostly submerged, like, I could probably get away with doing, like, an eerie, like, little river monster cryptid, like, peekaboo out of the surface of the water. That would be really fun. I'd be tempted to do, like, most tempted to try it for Halloween. The problem is it will be autumn by that point, and the water will probably be freezing, so I can't go buck naked.
Oh, your child shall grow up to be a perfect little specimen. Oh, I'm sure you'll have fun racing this one. Oh, Mother Gaia will always welcome her.
We have fun here. Just get an insert skin color wetsuit and then you're good to go. Point taken. Oh, that does remind me. This is the last thing I'll mention before we wrap things up. So naturally, I have quite a few clothes. But many of these clothes are actually quite old, and so they are wearing down. They're either they either have old stains, or either stains or like they have rips or holes in them. You know, there's a few I've already had to toss out, even before moving out. And so my mom was like, you know, at some point, I'm gonna give you some money to basically do a whole revamp of your wardrobe. And I was like, okay, cool. And then my birthday rolled around, which, by the way, I'm 1 year older than the last time you saw me. As of the previous July 4th. Too bad I couldn't return to streaming in time to really celebrate. There was a part of me that was wondering if I could do like a belated birthday stream, but that stream would have pretty much just consisted of what I'm doing right now, and that's just chatting with a lot of y'all about my new place. We went from Issy Gang arc to Iron Maidens to Buck Naked Witch arc. Do they sell frog green wetsuits? They probably do. Oh, the progression. Oh, a good thing to do on a creepy property with old clothes is set up scarecrows for no reason just to be spooky. That would be fun. Or else, like, maybe find some really old and haggard, like blankets or sheets, quilts, anything, and just kind of go crazy with scissors, kind of cut them up into all the little wisps and try to find a spot in the trees somewhere to just let them blow in the wind and unsettle any passersby. Happy birthday! Happy Trader Day, you filthy tea wasters! Happy woot woot! Spill red paint in the woods on the clothes, too. This place is better than I thought, and I was already enjoying it. Anyway, yeah, as soon as my birthday rolled around, naturally a bunch of my family members were giving me a bunch of money because I never asked for anything in particular. And my mom, her birthday check was $1,000, 1,000 USD, specifically for the use of revamping my wardrobe. So far, I have only purchased one shirt. One sleeveless shirt that I'm actually wearing right now. And, what a coincidence. It's actually got a graphic. It's got art of one of the legendary spooky girls, Sadako herself. And she's going through a magical girl arc right out of the TV. Gwen's new Instagram where she's the local witch who just moved in.
Ah! Jort! Lee Jort! Calvin Raid! Hello, Lee Jort! Hello, hello! Welcome, welcome! Welcome, welcome! I am finally back from my post-move hiatus. Hello, hello! What were you up to tonight? How was your stream? I was just talking about some spooky things that I could get away with now that I'm at a new place. Defend the britches, me froggies! $1,000. That's a damn good birthday, and only one shirt bought, and now you only have 99 cents left. Am I a Muppet? No, I'm a Froggy! I'm a little Froggy. Welcome back, Issy. I'm glad Katja was playing my first Shantae game. Nice, nice. In this house, we love Shantae. Okay. Yeah, she's a Muppet who hasn't been felted and has blood and bugs inside her. I'm like Oogie Boogie. But yeah, I got $1,000 whole, and I'm not sure how I'm gonna spend it all on clothes. Stream Froggy. First I will get the Rainbow Froggy for RNG. And then, I saw her foot when she bobbed up and my brain thought it was an R. Frog Tower! Yeah, yeah. Okay, Short, you have an option between blue, green, yellow, or gummy. Choose your Froggy. Yeah, so naturally I immediately stashed half of that check into my savings account. All the forks. Gummy! I can do gummy. Alright, top
Some say if you get the frogs high enough, they touch the moon. Ah, moon frog. I know them well. Or is it space frog? Or is it space toad? Or moon toad? Technically we start from the moon and are reaching for the earth. Yeah. Let me see. My mind is still on the creepy things I could get up to. Because we're on top of the moonlit Yakuza. Ooh. Those might be fighting words. Has Issy been a toad this whole time? Lies and deceit! No! I'm a froggy. Do you see any warts on me? I might have, like, little finger nubbins. But those are my fingies. And also, wait, let me, yeah, the little nubbies on my toesies. But we physically are on top. You got me there. Let's see, what was... Oh yeah, Gwyn's new Instagram, where she's the local witch who just moved in. I mean, if I ever get an Instagram account, it's... I'm no longer really a witch, I'm more of a demon, a ghost, an ephemeral spirit, because I will literally die before I make an Instagram. But, if I ever decide to do, like, an ARG horror kind of project, or, like, I don't know, like, some sort of unfiction story or something, that's probably the only excuse, the only reason I would ever have for actually using Instagram. But yes, you're right, Binky, you're right. Gwyn is in fact a road, probably an old Victorian cobblestone road. Very aesthetic. This house isn't that old. The river probably is. The river's probably older than Victorian era. Oh yeah, I think my talking about getting $1,000, that was the last thing, I said that was the last thing I would bring up before wrapping up. Hey yo, that's Gummy! Yeah! That's the Gummy frog! RNG is the rainbow frog right underneath you, but is more like an LED frog, whereas Gummy frog is just every color all at once. I don't know what I was expecting, but not that. That's great. Who's to say it isn't that old of a house? It was built in the 1520s by a wealthy woman from Transylvania. I think, actually, the record shows that it was built, I think, in the 20s. It's definitely rustic and has seen a number of renovations over the years, you know, to keep it standing, but it is an older house. It is a country house. And I know I mentioned earlier in the stream, like, in the pantry closet in the kitchen, like on the back wall of the closet, there are actually little markings, like little statements from past owners, like just marking the first day they moved into the house. And the earliest one is literally from 1968. See, I was right. It was built in the 20s. right, you shyster. But yeah, it's an older house. Not like the previous house, which we literally saw the construction of all the way back in 2004. I missed a stream, I gotta get all my puns out while I can. So be it. Yeah, that's all I got. That's all I got, really. If y'all who are coming in late want to hear more about the peculiarities of my new home and all of its special character traits, you'll have to catch the VOD, which I will most likely have exported to my YouTube. That Nightbot has been intermittently promoting in chat. My VOD channel. You can expect it probably sometime tomorrow. I pun because I love, and I talk to stall so I get more Izzy time. Hashtag welcome back. Aww. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. My lily pals. I missed you. As for what I could get up to next stream, well, there's a possibility I might stream either on Thursday or Friday. Friday, I'll probably be streaming, definitely, most certainly. Thursday is a bit up in the air. I am now EP as fuck, though. I'm glad to drop everyone off to you, but needs me rest. That is good for you, Lee Jort. Thank you for coming by. I hope you have a great dream. Dreaming. Verb? Plural. Words. Yeah, I'm not sure what I'll get up to. I know there's Dwarf Fortress. I will note that in the test stream that I did last week, I don't have many great dreams things, thank you. We missed you lots and lots too. Multiple Izzy stream a week? Are you sure I haven't died and this is a heaven version of Twitch? I don't know. I just work here. I just stream here. I know when I did my test stream last week, one of the beefier games I was a touch worried about was streaming more Control. But when I did it, it seemed to run with actually comparatively little issues. I don't think there are even any frames dropped. Heaven Twitch, where there's no ads but the creators get paid well anyways. We can only hope. Okay. Well, I usually figure out what to do in the moment, when the moment comes. So I will figure that out in due time. Yes, yes. And I hope to see you all then. Ah, my lily pals. Come here, give me a big hug. Big huggies. Huggy Froggy. Yay. I'm back to streaming. I missed it so much. Because apparently Izzy stream need to sell a $115.49 widescreen monitor. Good night. Well, if we want
to stick around a little bit longer, we usually do a raid, which we will do right now. And I will bring up the good old raid messages for the Lily Pals who are subbed and those who are not. Yay, yay. Who is live right now?
Let's take a look, shall we? Oh god. The fucking collab knocking function. Another function that nobody asked for. And that is probably just a like terrible implementation of an idea. Let's see here. Let's see here. Let's see here. Somebody is live and I want to raid them.
Let's raid Hanachu. Ha! Hanachu. A jellyfish tuber. See Miss Mothmom? Yeah, I did. I did too. Looks like she was just chatting as well. But we are gonna be raiding Hanachu.
She is adorable.
And I hope my Lily Pals will enjoy the cozy bubbly times with a jellyfish tuber who I think is currently using her her seal form right now. She has a seal form. As well, thank you, Hope. Blue Hope Cape. I shall do my best. Nice Jazz, thank you. I picked it myself. Yes, yes. Okay, yeah, I will see you either Thursday or Friday, Lily Pals, whichever day comes first, whichever I decide to do first. Yeah. Do we say bless you when we enter Hanachu stream? You can do that. The dress was the one thing bought. I mean, it's cute, and it fits me. Let me see. Yeah, I will see you all next time, Lily Pals. Oh yeah, sweetie.